And Fran.
So Mr. Adkins replaced Joshua Mayfield, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I was just updating my stuff here, just make sure that's what I had, but. Well, it's up to Mr. Epperson as the chair if he would like to wait, but if he wants to start, we can. Otherwise, we can wait a few more minutes for the other folks to join us.
Okay, let's give them another minute,
Okay.
and then we'll start. They may have some difficulty getting in here. I tried to do the video. I couldn't get it to load up. So anyway, I'm on the audio.
Okay. Wait a few more minutes.
Really quick, I know that this is being live streamed, but I'm also recording too, so that I can go back and do minutes and have the audio available. So I just wanted to let everybody know that.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Yeah, and Wes, if you don't mind, this is Jerry. I'd like to just make that quick declaration.
Yes, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was appointed to this committee Monday, just 3 days ago, but I got all the credentials and everything. If you remember what you have to sign and all that, just this afternoon at 4 o'clock. And so wasn't enough time really to get it downloaded, see what we're doing, looking at agendas and all that kind of thing. So although I have signed my oath, I have not delivered it to the city clerk as you're supposed to. And so what I want to say is I'm here, I'm auditing, but I'm not a member yet, and I won't be until I get that document to the city clerk tomorrow. So just, I don't want anybody to get sideways here of anything. So I'll just be auditing. So thanks for that, Wes.
Okay, appreciate that, Jerry. Appreciate you being on the call. Well, I think we probably should go ahead and get started. And before we start here and call the roll, we have a new staff assistant assigned to our Street Improvement Oversight Committee, and that's Stephanie Boyce. So Stephanie, you want to introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about your time at the city, if you would.
Sure. So my name is Stephanie. I've been with the city for almost a year. The staff assistant position is a new position that I'm in. And so I'm just here to help navigate this meeting and do everything I can to help get all the information out to our committee members and to assist staff with reports and everything else. So happy to be here.
Okay, good to have you. Okay, I'm going to have you, Stephanie, if you will, if you'll call the roll of the, well, you've got the city staff, so go ahead and call the roll from the city staff, and then after that you can call the roll of the members, the Oversight Committee members.
Sure. Well, just I've never done roll before, so I see Mike Jackson is here. Mike Winkler, and myself. Do we have any other staff that's present? Okay. And then our committee members, let's see, Edward.
Present.
Okay, Tim? No, Tim? Wes?
I'm here.
Okay, do we have Gloria?
I'm here, Fran Wagner.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Fran Wagner.
Fran, okay. We got you, Fran. Daniel?
I'm here.
Okay, Daniel. And then we have Jerry.
Yes.
Okay. And the members that are not present are Tim and Gloria.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay. Well, I'm Wes Epperson, and I was appointed chair of the committee at last month's meeting. I guess that's what you get for not making the meeting, but I'm going to do my best. As the chair, this is something new for me. I've been on the committee since 2015. Let me just say I'm always open to suggestions, and my phone number, 816-392-0021. Give me a call anytime you need to, and help me do a better job, okay? First order of business is the approval of last month's meeting minutes. Stephanie, can you read those minutes from last month's meeting, or last December 10th meeting, I will say?
Does she need to read them, or do we just need a motion to approve?
Just need a motion to approve.
I motion that we approve the minutes.
Who was that?
Edward.
Okay, thank you, Edward.
Okay. All right. Edward, you made the motion to approve.
Correct.
I need a second.
I second.
Okay. And any additions or corrections? If you had a chance to look at the minutes, I guess not. And so we'll proceed. All those in favor of approving of the minutes, say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. So the minutes are approved. We do not, okay, so I'm the chair. We don't have a vice chair. We'll work on that. We'll see if we can get a vice chair of this committee in the future. And so at this point, I think we'll turn it over to who's going to speak next for the city. We'll proceed to that.
Well, one of the mics, Mike Winkler. This is Mike Jackson speaking. Mike Winkler will be taking the latter half of this agenda. So we can kind of tag team number 5 here is the committee recommendation of the CIP. Apologize for getting it out so late yesterday morning. We would hope to have it to you earlier in the week, but I had to make a number of changes to it over the last few days due to
If I might, will you say what CIP is?
capital improvement projects.
Okay, thank you.
So basically the infrastructure and the main purpose of the street improvement tax is to care for these CIP capital improvement projects to the streets. So we have a 6-year plan, and Stephanie had sent that out yesterday. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to at least look at the 21-22 items that were identified. But before we move before we move forward with our budget proposals to council here in the next month and a half, they had asked to have each of the sales tax committees essentially, bless the CIP for each of those moving forward. So you guys.
Hey, Mike, I got
Sure.
a question on that. Presenting this to the council. Is that just for 21, 22, or are you presenting the whole 6-year plan?
No, the presentation and what's eventually going to go to the council that Mike Winkler is going to talk about here in a little bit. That's an update of things that have been going on. This CIP recommendation is basically the 6-year plan moving forward. It's going to be a rolling plan, but we wanted to let you guys know what projects are coming down the pike, and you have a chance to kind of weigh in on them and ask questions.
Okay, so it will extend beyond 2022, what you're going to present to the council then. So some of these projects that aren't in 2021 to 2022, but after 2022.
Sure. So what's going to be presented to the council is an update of where we're at with current projects, and that's what Michael Winkler is going to talk about here in a few minutes. To kind of give you an update on that. Then that'll be sent to council for the committee reports here in a couple weeks, and they generally like to have either the chair or someone from the group, one of the members, present on that in April 12th, I believe, is the date that they're looking to have those presentations. What we're asking for with the committee recommendation is moving forward for this 6-year plan. Again, we'll ask again next year. It'll be another 6-year plan. We should be moving right along and kind of
I see.
rolling along. So what's going to be presented is the current situation, where we're at, what we're asking for, and that's going to come up here in a few minutes. What we're asking for right now is the recommendation to say, yeah, we are good to go. We like this plan. We like the projects that are in place. We support this plan moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I've got a question, Mike. This is Wes Epperson.
Sure.
So we've got a 6-year plan that you've put together here, and most of us haven't had an opportunity to go through the recommendations. So what we're taking to the council, you're wanting us to okay this 6-year plan that we really haven't had a chance to dive into, to take a look at.
Yeah, exactly. And I do apologize for the last minute getting it to you. We'd hoped to get it to you early this week or the end of last week, but so many things have popped up with the budget and potential issues that we're seeing that we had to kind of go back through and modify it. So we can either open it up for discussion tonight, or you guys can chew on it for a while and maybe contact myself or Mike Winkler individually if you have questions. Really, Mike can probably speak more to the actual nuts and bolts of the way it's set up. But yeah, you're right. You really essentially only had 36 hours to kind of look it over, so I didn't expect you to absorb it all yet.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
This is Mike Winkler. Could I speak a little bit on the CIP, the 6-year CIP or capital improvements program?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Floor is yours.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me see if I can get to a screen share, but I'll talk through this as well. But essentially what Mike Jackson had discussed, and let me know for those of you that have computers if you can see my screen.
I can see it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What I'll just talk about is some of the highlights relative to what the plan is proposing. And again, as Mr. Jackson had mentioned, this is the 2022 through 2027 capital improvements program. And a lot of what we've been seeing is some carryover projects. For instance, the 24 Highway Complete Streets and the Phase 2, which is at the western end of the 24 Highway Corridor, which would be from River to the west. Those are being proposed in the improvements, with our emphasis being in the Fairmount District specifically. The pavement preventative maintenance operations, that's what everybody affiliates with the asphalt mill and fill operations as part of the overlay. We are also going to be doing more full width repairs. We actually will talk about that as part of the updates as well. And then crack filling, which is any of the long cracks that are actually opened up wider than an inch, trying to infill those, which we did our first round on that one. And then also the crack sealing, which are the smaller, less than 1 inch in width cracks. So those are being proposed in this first year. Also from this first year is another carryover project, the Truman Connected Phase 1. That is a grant-funded project that we are starting design this current fiscal year, and then we will carry that forward in the capital improvements program. One of our sidewalk projects new to this upcoming year is 31st Street, Castle Park Elementary. That is going to be installing sidewalks along the new Castle Park or along 31st Street near the new elementary school at Castle Park. A couple of other items in this one, and then it does have a lot of repetitiveness, and that's why I want to go a little bit through the detail what we're proposing next year. And then I'll just highlight what is provided as continuing projects and just kind of give you at least a glance relative to what you guys the committee members are going to be reviewing, so you have some clarity with the document itself. This emergency repair project, we actually had one project come up, and the funds, you just never know whenever you're going to have a project that impacts our transportation funds. So that is a set aside to have those emergency repair dollars available. These next three items are specifically to traffic improvements.
Hey, Mike, what was that emergency one that came up?
The one that we are scouting right now is a slope failure on Strode Road. We have stabilized and actually completed the geotechnical study of the location, and now we are monitoring that until repairs can be provided. This is Strode Road in approximately the 24,000 block out at the east end of town, past Crenshaw, I believe, is the nearest larger intersection that everybody might be familiar with.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then we get through next year, we're proposing to do a rescan of the pavement. So that way we have an objective number, which is called a pavement condition index, to help prioritize pavement repairs and seals and overlay operations. A couple of other things, we're going to continue with the annual sidewalks job, curb and gutter work, and then we are implementing a guardrail replacement program as we're moving through. So those are the highlights from year one.
Oh, wait a minute, Mike. Let's back up here a second. The Operation Green Light, what is that?
Operation Green Light is part of our traffic signal program.
Right. And I mean, that's through who we paying? I see it's just a program we pay somebody.
Correct. So Mid-America Regional Council actually coordinates Operation Green Light, and it actually synchronizes traffic signals throughout the metro. And what that does is it helps to improve traffic flows for corridors that don't just stop at the jurisdictional boundaries.
Okay, now what's the price on that? I mean, you're saying this, what's the price on it?
This is 23,000, just shy of 24,000 annually, and it's based on the traffic and the number of citizens of the community, and then also it is based on the number of facilities that are installed on it.
Okay. Now,
Hey,
my
Mike,
oh, go ahead, Dan.
no,
Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Okay,
Finish
my
your
opinion,
thought.
my opinion is that we're paying for this. I don't mind doing it, but most of your flow traffic is probably 23rd Street, 24 Highway. Is that what we're thinking? Is that where they're mostly at?
Actually, there are, I believe, 69 signals that are part of the OGL network in the city, and only 20 of the signals. I believe there's only 20 other signals in the city that are not connected to OGL.
Okay, but for traffic flow purposes, what I'm thinking of, we're talking the main highways, which those lights are probably not ours, right? They're MoDOT.
They are. That is correct.
I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head why we're paying this and what for. I mean, in case people ask us, we need to know a reason why. If most of our traffic flow is not on the highways, you're talking Nolan Road and things like that, but.
So Butch, these 69 signals would be in addition to the MoDOT network.
Okay. I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around why do we need to pay somebody to control them if they're in our city, and basically we should be controlling our own traffic flow, or do they monitor it?
That is monitored and coordinated is what OGL does. Butch and Mr. Chair, may I suggest maybe we can have a presentation from our traffic engineer at the next committee meeting, because he can dig into that a heck of a lot more appropriately than I can.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, that's fine there. I just, in case somebody asks me, what are we spending this money for? And I'm going to go, I don't know. I mean, that's things we need to ask about. So
Yes.
ask somebody.
Yeah, Mike, are you talking about having Mark Green come in and discuss the traffic signal situation?
Correct.
Yes, and I've got questions for him myself on some signal problems we have right now that need to be answered. So yeah, I think it'd be a good thing to have him come in and answer our questions about this. Not only about this, but the traffic signals that we have now that aren't operating properly, that I was told that you know, they don't have the money to fix some of the signal problems we have right now. I'd like to have that addressed.
Well, I think let's go ahead and let me follow up with Mark to reach out to you, Mr. Epperson, and get that moving before the next meeting itself. And then we will, I will double check with him and see if we can have like a little synopsis of what the OGL program is, in addition to a future presentation at the next Street Improvements Oversight Committee, if that works for you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, I don't have that. Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good. The thing also I need to question about is that 20 million we need for our 60 so stoplights every year. That's in that proposal there also. Was I reading that correctly?
The traffic signal components.
Traffic signal components.
That mentions that there is nearly $20 million in traffic signal infrastructure that the city is responsible for.
Okay, so that's not a $1 million a year thing we got.
No.
Okay, so we're saying each traffic signal is worth $33,000 or $35,000.
Actually, it would be, I believe, $350,000.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, is that for
Mike,
Is that a light?
This would be individual components of the system. So a complete replacement of the system would be approximately $350,000.
Now, is that a whole intersection, or is that just one light at an intersection?
That would be from our most recent costs. That would be for a full traffic signal at a intersection, like all four corners.
Okay, that makes better sense that way. But that's going, wow, that's a lot. So, okay, well, yeah, I'd like him to talk about that too when he comes, if he would.
Okay.
Yes.
I've got a question about that too, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Is that $20 million, does that include all four of those agendas there? The signal components replacement, the signal structure replacement, the signal replacement program, and retro reflector meter purchases, and also replace the loop detection with video detection. Does that $20 million include all four of those items?
Well, the $20 million, to reiterate, that is the total cost of the program or of the existing infrastructure as it exists now.
Well, how much are we proposing that the city puts aside for all four of those a year?
In this first year, it is a proposal of approximately $350,000 to $400,000.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Yep, that's no problem. Some of the new items from 22-23, which would be the following fiscal year, of course, would be, actually, these are all repeats, or carry forward, I should say. One of the new items that comes up is 23rd Street sidewalks. It is a grant-funded sidewalk improvement from Lee Summit Road to 291.
Okay, question there.
Yes.
Okay, so you saying a grant funded, so we're trying to get who to pay for it, the federal government?
Yes.
Now,
it is part of our Transportation Alternatives program.
Okay, so that's a state road, correct? Is all that state stuff?
The state is only responsible for the driving surface itself. Any of the multimodal or sidewalk and pedestrian facilities are the responsibilities of the individual jurisdictions.
Okay, well, I looked on the map this morning. I noticed we only have like 5 areas that do not have sidewalks through there. I noticed we've had some new sidewalks put in recently, so yes. I'm trying to figure out how much we're asking for to do that. Would not think we'd have to spend a bunch of money to put 5 different sidewalks in. I'm just trying to figure out this one, where this came from and who proposed it.
I believe that this was put through as part of the current system, and the total cost of that improvement is going to be $250,000, which would include the any traffic signal improvements in that corridor to make sure that multimodal options are available. And then also that would be that would get through that corridor, and I believe that the total cost, and I apologize, I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I believe that we're receiving approximately $150,000 to cover at least that portion. I might be wrong on the total cost of that.
Okay, well, we're back to here again. You're saying streetlights. Well, streetlights are state controlled, so that shouldn't be on us. So the only thing we're controlling is the sidewalks. I mean, I don't see any problem with putting sidewalks there where they need to be, but I mean, I don't understand who brought this up and how we got to this.
This has been a project previously submitted, and it was carried through with the current or the last round of grant funding.
So do we have the grant funding for it yet or not?
It has been approved through the Mid-America Regional Council, so it has been granted, yes.
Well, why are we going to wait a year to do it? Why don't we do it this year then?
or on the grant funding cycle, that would be for federal fiscal year 23 and federal fiscal year 24 monies.
Okay.
So
that's
that those dollars come in future years.
okay. So that's nothing out of the city's pocket. This is all grant funded, correct?
No, that is incorrect. The transportation alternatives would only match to an 80-20 and a maximum out of pocket of 500,000. So there are expenses for the city as well.
Okay. I'd like to see a breakdown of that more before I attempt to try to propose that to the city council. I'd like to see a breakdown of price and stuff like that too. I'm sure we've already had that, correct?
We have what we had put in for the estimated costs for the grant cycle itself.
Okay. I like to see that before we approve that, in my opinion.
All right.
Let's go on down to the next one down in Nolan Road, Lynn Court.
Yes.
Where'd that proposal come from?
That was a conversation with the Nolan Road CID and the improvements in that corridor. That one will improve and realign the intersection over there at Lynn Court with the improvements in that Nolan Road corridor that would improve traffic for Nolan Road.
Okay, my opinion is, I might be wrong. This is where Kmart and Walmart, not Kmart, Kmart and Venture used to be, and there used to be a Chuck E. Cheese. Now it's got tore down. Now there's a new Andy's going there. Why would we be, that road is probably not city road, correct? Just the street lights?
Correct.
So why are we paying to redo their road for them in that area?
This is one of the intersections that we are talking about possibly taking over if it is in good shape. And so, or if it is adequate to come in, and the realignment of that intersection to make the improvements to the traffic flow in that corridor was necessary to move this project forward.
Well, I don't, that's been there for 30 years and I never seen a problem there. And then I don't understand why all of a sudden this has come up this way. I mean, this had to come someplace from somebody. I like to know why and who.
Well, and the key thing on that one is there are a couple of new developments that are going in there and improving or increasing the traffic volumes in that corridor.
You can't increase what was already there when there was Kmart and Venture. Plus, you're saying that Andy's going to put in a new place and do their thing, and then you're going to go in and tear up their parking lot to move the street over without them knowing this, or do they know this?
No, we have negotiated the right-of-way to be dedicated from the Andy's development.
Because I mean, that's kind of weird why all of a sudden we're going to do this when they're putting in a new business there. I mean, it seems like to me they should do it since they want it. It's not really, I mean, my opinion is it's flowing fine. I don't see any problems there at all. I mean, I don't know what the rest of the board says, but I mean, that's just something I see. And I like to have that taken out. Wes, anything about it that you know about, Wes? You've been on here longer than I have.
I know the intersection you're talking about. Myself, I don't have, you know, if you want to improve an intersection, so what you're saying is the private business ought to pay for the improvement?
Well, it is private business. It's not city right away. It's private business. It's their intersection. We just control the street lights.
Okay, but you do recognize the fact it's Nolan Road, and we've got a Quick Trip there, a huge Quick Trip also that uses that intersection.
That's true. I mean, and like I say, that's all right. I mean, I don't think you're going to change Quick Trip side.
Well, the other part of it, is that there are improvements on the southwest corner. So the traffic flows are going to be increasing with the two developments going in there, which does warrant the necessity to improve that signal to help with how flow happens on Nolan and Lynn themselves.
Well, let me ask you this question, Mike. You know, you've got that intersection there at Lynn Court, and then you've got, of course, the intersections up with I-70. Is this going to help with that whole traffic flow all the way going up Nolan Road south there? Because there is a lot of congestion there right in that area. Is this this improvement that is proposed at Lynn Court, is it going to help that whole area, say from 39th clear up over the other side of Nolan Road? There's a lot of congestion in there.
Correct. And that would be the focused area from 39th all the way down to at least 42nd Street on the south side of the I-70 bridge there.
Yeah. So you're not talking just about Lynn Court, you're talking about improving the traffic flow in that whole area, right?
Correct. And part of that is where Operation Greenlight coordinates the signals, but that is only going to be effective to a certain degree. One of the key things is that with the split intersection, it will actually realign it, which will shorten the delay times in order for, if you think of it, the east side has to do its thing while the west side cannot do a single thing. And then once you reverse that, then the west side does its operations to get its traffic queue through, and the east side does not. That actually requires a delay in the function of that signal. The realigning of that will actually shorten all of the delays by itself by half. And then how that interacts with the rest of it is that puts more emphasis on the Nolan Road corridor flow. And then this intersection actually has some tail, what we call backwater on water resources, but essentially it does have backing up and queuing impacts into not only 39th Street, but also I-70 and even all the way down to 42nd Street through the peak flow.
Well, I understand. Yeah, I understand that part there. My opinion is it's been there for 30 years. Why wasn't this addressed when Quick Trip put in? That would be my biggest concern there. We could have did this when Quick Trip was there. And now why are we waiting until when there's nobody on the other side? I don't know what to propose for that other area. I don't know how big a company's going in there, but when Kmart was there and they were full and Payless and all them, there was never no problem coming in out of their area. Now, the flow on Nolan Road, I understand that part, but that's just what it is. It's only there during rush hour.
Well, and I think the key thing is that definitely the change in time frame as far as the amount of traffic on both, and even 39th Street, how all that traffic has changed over the years is in consideration for why this intersection realignment would improve flows for traffic in that corridor. So,
well, just my opinion, I don't think it's going to help flow any better than what it's already is. But I'd like to see, I'd like to have it taken out, but that's not up to me.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I've
got a question about that too. With this increased traffic flow on Nolan Road, with these, I've got Andy's, and you didn't say what the other business coming in was. All I got was Andy's. But is there any plans in the future to change that bridge over I-70 to like a diamond configuration? Otherwise, with all those lights and everything, if the traffic flow is going to be increasing, that's going to be a nightmare to try and get either east on I-70 when you're heading south on Nolan Road, or get west on I-70 when you're heading north on Nolan Road.
Mm-hmm. I'm not aware of any studies to make that a diverging diamond interchange or a DDI at this point. I can talk to our traffic engineer and see if there is a longer time frame on the I-70 and Noland horizon that MoDOT is doing any studies on, and see if I can find any information on that.
Yeah, because wasn't that bridge just replaced a few years ago when they replaced all those bridges along I-70?
Yes, it was. Well, the Noland Road Bridge was actually replaced in 2008.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I knew it wasn't quite that long. You know, it was within my lifetime. I knew that. Okay. I was just curious to know if there were any plans in the future to do that, and if there is, would that be the city's responsibility, the state's responsibility, or federal government?
On the actual bridges for the interstate itself, that would be where MoDOT would be responsible for a bridge improvement.
So we'd have to get a grant from MoDOT or have MoDOT agree to do it then. MoDOT would have to perform traffic studies and determine the need for the improvements to that bridge, and then program it into their statewide transportation improvement program, or the STIP is what they call that. So basically that's going to be another probably 10 years before that's even considered then.
I can see if we can find any.
State government runs.
I could see if there's anything. Yeah, Dan, I could see if there's anything in the horizon on that, but I do know that MoDOT does take a lot of study and monitor how that improvement of the I-70 corridor works. So they probably know that like the back of their hands.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I was just going to highlight a couple of things, just in the interest of time. We also have a couple of other items. Is there anything else in particular you guys want to discuss at this point, or would you like to move on to another item?
The guardrail repair, how much do we propose that yearly?
That one is going to be $70,000 for the first 2 years, and our goal is we are working with police department to facilitate and try and get those as recuperated costs from traffic accidents. And we're trying to prove our gathering of that information to be able to get that claimed against insurance when a police report is filed. And this would get some of that guardrail that is in disarray at this point repaired and moving forward in the right direction.
Now, do we have workers that do that, or do we gotta sub that out?
This would actually be, a lot of that work can be done by our street maintenance department. There are some end terminals that might be outside of that skill set, and we would have to do that work external. But a lot of that work will be internal, and the goal here would be a majority of that money would be for materials and supplies to be able to complete that work.
Okay. Let's go to the next page.
Mr. Chair, do you want to go through the rest of this with the rest of the agenda items?
Well, aren't we proposing this to the city council?
Well, I wanted to highlight a couple of items. Again, it sounds like the committee was I wanted to at least give you guys a first blush with this, so you know what you're looking through.
Right. Well, okay. Well, I was just curious because I mean, there's one other one that I was questioning about too. So I want to see what you got.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Let's go ahead and continue. We've got to get all the way through this, right?
Mike Jackson, I'm not sure what the time frame for the CIP recommendations are. If I
mean, if we're just doing the first year, that's fine. But if we're going to say this for all 6 years, we got to go through it. And I like to have some changes done before we see.
Yeah, I think probably what's the best to do here, excuse me, my phone's going off here, is the most important portion right now is the 21-22. So if we could work through that in the CIP, we can duly note and make marks next to the other items in future fiscal years that you have concerns with, and kind of give us a chance to dive more into those and answer more of your questions. But the whole CIP is important, but obviously this coming fiscal year is the most important because we've got to start working through that. So if maybe we get a tentative thumbs up from you all for the 21-22, and like I said, we can make marks next to the projects in future fiscal years that you have concerns with, and we can relay that to the council when we propose this.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a better plan. I don't feel comfortable with, just giving blanket approval to a 6-year plan that we've only had a day or two to look at. I would rather have this whole month to be able to go through this and then get into the rest of it maybe at our next meeting. But yeah, if we can break it down and take a look at this first 21-22 plan.
Sure. And
I feel a lot more comfortable with that, and I'm hoping the other committee members feel the same. They can voice their opinion.
Yeah, and I think going back to getting through 21-22, that's really what we need the recommendation on for now. The other items we can hash out later on, but it's important to note that really the intent for this group is to provide the recommendation moving forward, whether you recommend it or not necessarily approve it or not. It's the council's role to actually approve of what's going. So you could recommend that or not, or you could choose to say we don't like project A, B, and C, so we would like those removed as your recommendation, and that would be proposed to the council. But it's their role to actually do the approval, obviously.
Okay, that sounds good. Can we now, for future preferences, can we get some numbers put with this where we know how much we're saying that we like it to go through? I mean, like the 24 highway complete streets. I don't know what the dollar amount is for that one. I know you said it last time, but I don't remember what it was. Sorry.
And I might actually have that in the presentation slides.
Okay.
For the actual Street Improvements Oversight Committee presentation to council, I believe item number 7 on the agenda.
Okay. Well, we can wait for that. I mean, I'd just like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're moving on to that portion then. We're going to table the rest of it.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
I think my opinion is we need to focus on what we're going to recommend at our at the city council meeting. So if we can focus on the 21-22 part of your proposal, and then we can delve into the rest of it and maybe have more information at our next meeting. That's my feeling, but I'd like to hear what everyone else's opinion is too.
Mr. Chair, this is Mike Jackson.
Yeah.
Mr. Winkler, correct me if I'm wrong, but the intent of the presentation from this body to the council is an update on current projects, correct?
That is correct.
So it's not, this group won't be presenting to the council to recommend future projects coming up in further fiscal years for the CIP. That staff will be doing that with the city manager's office and going to council. It's part of the normal budgeting process. So your presentation will focus on what's going on currently and where we're at currently. What we're bringing the CIP to you all for is to give a recommendation. Yes, you would like to move forward, and this body says, yes, staff, this is the direction we would like to go, and we would like you to present to the council. This is how we want you to proceed in the next 6 years. And as I said, we can dissect some of these future fiscals later on, but really probably the most important part is what we're going to be putting in this next budget year would be the 21-22. So I would recommend it at this point for this group, maybe to just vote on recommending at least the 21-22 portion of the CIP. So then staff can continue to work on that for the budgeting process. And then we can come back, circle back for the 22-23 and beyond, and make some notes next to those items and kind of dissect it further.
That sounds fine. So
Okay.
let's, he's got his, don't you have a display for that, Mike, that you want to show us?
That was just going back through those individual slides. The PowerPoint presentation again is for the current activities, what we've got under construction, what we've completed for construction, and what's on the horizon within the next 6 to 12 months.
So that's what you want to show us next, so we can approve that, correct? Yeah, why don't you go ahead and let's go ahead and do that.
All right. Sorry, I was taking notes, and there we go. So let me switch back over to okay, let me go into slideshow mode. Everybody can see my screen right now.
I see it.
Okay, thank you.
I see it.
Okay, as Mike Jackson had mentioned, the presentation would be in the first study session in April of this coming, or in April 12th for the first study session in April itself. And a couple of the general reporting items, the oversight of the committee, of course, the purpose of the committee, and the project status and overview. A list of all of the committee members. Purpose therefore goes into monitor implementation of the plan, progress, or monitor progress and report to council. The program has been in place for 12 years. Of course, it talked about the renewal in 2017 and then the debt financing for deferred maintenance. As of the end of December, so the first half of the current fiscal year, the actual revenue received from the street sales tax is approximately 54%. And we have approximately 11.6 million dedicated to the capital improvements projects. The next slide are the construction completed items. Of course, we completed over 74 or 47 lane miles of asphalt overlay. That's the full mill and fill operation. The 4 intersections that were part of the intersection improvements, of course, listed there. Those were completed last year. College Street improvements, that was essentially from or along College Street, just northwest of City Hall here, off of about the eastern half there. That was completed as well. The 2020 bridge assessment was a mechanism to improve our listings and maintenance activities against the bridges. That was completed. One of the pavement maintenance items that is part of our pavement maintenance program is crack filling. Of course, this is the 1-inch or larger cracks are filled with material to keep water from entering the joints and causing further damage, and there's some routes there that were completed. Projects under construction currently, as we continue to do our pavement maintenance items. Of course, you can see the crack filling and overlay were completed. We just opened bids for full and partial depth asphalt repairs that are being completed. These are full width repairs for larger sections that don't qualify for a full mill and fill overlay of all of the pavement in that section. And then this year we will be introducing later on this spring or early summer the pavement seals to help keep the pavement in good condition. So that's ongoing, of course, and under construction.
Hey, Mike, one question there.
Yeah.
Back up. Do we need to tell them what streets, or is this for citywide that pops up, or do we already have? You guys already know the streets you're doing.
We have had the streets identified. These are, I don't have those numbers immediately in front of me, but essentially it's where, particularly for the full depth asphalt repairs, that is something that our crews don't have the equipment to do a full depth asphalt repair, which would be anything over 3 inches.
I understand that part, but I'm wondering, since we're telling this is probably going out citywide on 7, is there a list of streets that we plan on getting done during this proposal? Is that something that we could put in there, or?
I don't have that list in front of me, but I can share that with the group.
Well, I was wondering if we should put that in there, so when they give, I mean, I don't know, does this go out to, like we're on City 7 right now, does this stuff go out so people that are, know, well, this street's going to get redone, that's why it's so bad right now, it's going to get redone this year? I mean, I didn't know if we have a list that's out there somewhere that people could see that.
I can double check and see what our practices have been. Which I am not sure how that has rolled out previously. So,
I mean, because I mean that would help me know. Well, we're spending this much money for these streets that are going to get done this year. I mean, that's fine. We went back and showed pictures of what we did last year, but I meant for this year.
Yeah. Okay.
And then this construction begins, I mean, that's for everything above, right?
Yeah, so a lot of different items. We're starting this spring. Some things will start later in the summer months. It's many moving pieces that all fall within this pavement preventative maintenance program.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Do we got to put a price on there, or is that, oh, you got the price here, never mind.
So this is the Mill Creek Trail extension. This is a extension of the Mill Creek Trail from the Jones location up to the Mill Creek Park, off of Mill Creek Park Drive, River, and oh shoot, I'm forgetting the other, but north of the creek there. That one is going to be getting under construction this month. And then upcoming projects, the 40 highway complete streets, that is going through final approvals, and we anticipate that construction starting at the latest by this fall. The Truman Depot and Pacific Trail, this one we are still in negotiations with the Union Pacific Railroad regarding their review process, and hope to be breaking ground on this one. The trail, or the depot improvements themselves, and the trail to the National Historic Trails Museum along Pacific Avenue sometime this summer. And then the deferred maintenance project, of course, in 2019, the debt financing was put forth to take care of some of the deferred maintenance. A couple of the projects that are included there is the Scott Avenue Bridge, which I believe I have a slide. Yes, next slide's going to talk a little bit more about that. Curb and gutter maintenance program, sidewalk installation programs, just a lot of projects coming online within this next year relative to that debt issuance. The Scott Avenue Bridge, hit the go button there. That is the replacement of the Scott Avenue Bridge between 24th Street and 25th Street, and that will begin this spring. And then the future projects update, we have sidewalks along Hardy Avenue. This would be from 35th Street up to 31st Street. That is currently being done in-house for design. and is associated with that Castle Park Elementary that went in at 31st and Hardy itself. The VAILE sidewalks program, or sidewalks improvements, this would be around the perimeter of the VAILE mansion and along the adjacent streets. That is a project that has been on hold that we are pushing forward to get CDBG money associated with that to help fund those improvements. And we're working on trying to get that one completed or started this fall. The 31st Street sidewalks to Castle Park Elementary School, that is just, if you think of Hardy going north-south, then Castle is the east-west connection to help bring a walkable surface to those elementary school users. 24 Highway Complete Streets, this is the phase one. This was from River Boulevard all the way out to 291. This is that cost share agreement with the with Missouri Department of Transportation, and which I think you had mentioned. I believe this is the construction cost estimate at this time.
And what's STP again?
I'm sorry, Surface Transportation Projects.
Oh, okay.
That is
cost. Our cost is 10 million, or the whole thing's 10 million.
The entire cost is 10.5 million for the construction side. I believe that MoDOT has 5.8, 3.5 takes care of the grant costs or the grant funds, and then the remainder would be what our improvements requirements would be.
Okay, so 5 and so 85. So we're in for about 2 million.
I believe that's the number. Yes. All right, and then Truman Connected Phase 1, and I will go ahead and make sure that we spell out what STP stands for, just so that way it's available there. And it looks like we also need to do that on this slide and TAP as well. So this is the Truman Connected Phase 1. This is the connection between the Truman Library on 24 Highway all the way down to Inglewood, and this these multimodal improvements would run through the square itself and along Lexington Avenue and Winter Road. And that one has surface transportation program funds of 2.7 and TAP transportation alternatives funds for 500,000.
And phase 1 cost us how much?
Phase 1 is approximately 4 million.
Oh, you mean just phase 1 is 4 million? That's just for the drawings.
No, that would be for the actual construction.
Oh, okay.
Through that corridor.
I thought what's phase 1? Is that drawings or is that doing it?
That is a segment of the Truman Connected. As you can see in the slide here, and I'm not, I should show it on this screen. Here we go. Sorry, I'm looking at the presentation side. So the red line is what would be constructed through phase 1. The blue line would be future phases.
Oh, okay, future phases. Okay,
yes.
So that's why you said from 24 Highway through the square, all the way around to, I'm trying to remember, I can't, it's so small, I can't even see what that part, what's that, where's it end at?
That would be at Sterling and Winter.
Sterling and Winter, okay.
That's the southern limit for that, what is being called phase 1.
Okay.
Okay, let me get back over to it so I can hit my advanced button. And then the last one is the Square Streetscapes project. That one is listed there. That one was the one that was just approved last month through City Council. So we've secured the consultant, and we are going to start with design work as we start progressing that project forward. Then last slides, of course, just questions, and then a thank you.
Okay.
And that's the official presentation. They usually say about 5 minutes is the total that they're looking for at the council meeting. So any questions that the committee might have, for me tonight relative to the presentation itself.
Did we approve that Truman thing in the past? That where that came from? Not Truman, the square thing, and the Truman. That got a couple of years ago.
That was approved, I believe, last month.
Okay, so you said City Council approved that?
Yes.
Okay, so if they've already approved it, it's not really worth. I don't know. What are we to say about it? Anything?
This is just an update to the council on the activities that are being taken care of by street sales tax.
Okay, okay. And we got that. I see you had the prices broke down, but do we have prices broke down for, I know we gotten, you said 54% of the tax money in. Do we got to appropriate where each penny's going, I like to say, per se? Or is that not up to us? Like this much is going to this project, this is going to this project at this time, or?
As far as for that particular project, or
for all these projects here that we got going on?
So those had the slide, those are on the slides, I believe.
Well, you had your 4 million and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't add it all up, so that all adds up to the. No,
Mike, I think if you maybe pop that financial dashboard up, that should answer some of those questions. Are you just asking for a financial snapshot, essentially?
Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. Maybe I'm just missed it there.
Well, and let me go back to sharing the screen. Now, the financial, make sure it's showing the right thing.
Okay, yeah, that's what you showed me, right, that. Okay. Yeah,
so this would be associated with the current operating budget that we're under right now. So July 1st would be our fiscal year 20. Let's try that. There we go. Sorry about that. I didn't catch that. So that would be the first 6 months of the fiscal year, and that shows that we're projecting at approximately 54 of what we were anticipating bringing in.
Okay, so we got 54 of what we brought in. How much have we spent of that already? That's why I guess I'm trying to figure out how we spent any of it. I mean, we're budgeted 8 million. We got 4 million. I know some of them projects cost more than that. That's why I'm trying to figure out. The dollars aren't adding up. Of course, we're supposed to do that or even worry about it.
And Butch, the key thing on that one is there are projects, capital improvements projects that actually last for many years. Right. So like some of those projects are from 2018. And so when they carry forward, they actually have various appropriations put forth as you go through each of those years. So for instance, some of these larger scale projects will have a design year. They may have an acquisition year if there's any land necessary to accommodate the project, and then a construction year. So in that case, you would have funds from 3 different years. So when the capital improvement projects are expended, it isn't as linear as this number here. This just says what the total revenues have been for the entire street sales tax.
Okay, well, I understand that part, but what I want to see is that this much is designated to go to like Truman phase 1 right now. We already have that much sitting in the bank waiting for it. Do we have something like that, or do we need to worry about that? I don't know who does that or who looks at it, makes sure it's all good, or is that somebody else's job?
That's generally not the role of what this committee is. This is more project driven to make sure that the projects that we're working on are applicable and appropriate.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I was just checking.
Okay.
Well, that sounds good to me. That looks like a good presentation to move forward. So I'll make a motion that we approve this to go to the city council.
Okay. You making that as a motion?
Yes.
Okay. This is Butch making the motion?
Yeah, that's Butch made the motion, yes.
Okay. We have a second?
I second it.
Who's this, Dan?
Dan, yes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. It
Might want
passes.
to call the roll.
We want to poll.
Sure. Yeah, those in favor, do you just want to state your name?
Edward.
Daniel,
Fran.
This Wes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is Mike Jackson. I just wanted to comment real quick on something.
Yes, go ahead.
If we can go back just briefly to the recommendation of the CIP.
Okay.
As you all can tell from the discussions, there's a lot of moving parts. A lot of these things are tied into grant funds and strategic plans and council priorities and the like. I would recommend that for you all, possibly that we come back together here in a couple weeks, and we just focus on maybe going through the CIP. That way we can answer the questions a little more in depth, and show the linkages between some of these different grants and actually some of the projects themselves are connected year after year. So you really can't do one without possibly doing number 2, 3, and 4 later on down the lines. But since they're so interconnected and it's so detailed, I'd recommend coming back together in a couple weeks and maybe having Mark Green present as well to answer some of those specific questions. That way you guys can feel a little more comfortable with any of your recommendations.
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
Aye.
Anybody
I
else?
think it's a good
Anybody
idea.
else have any comments?
I'm all up for it because I do have some questions on the future projects.
How about you, Butch?
Oh, yeah, I agree. Yes, I'd like to talk a little more about the future projects. I like to see where they
Brian,
come
you-
from and who proposed them. I like to see things like that and what's going on with them. I mean, there's probably stuff I don't know. Like you say, I don't know what's going in down there where the old Kmart is. There might be something that's going to attract 100,000 people a week down there or something. Who knows?
How about you, Fran? You have an opinion?
Oh, I'm fine with meeting again.
Okay, so what, 2 weeks from today? Is that what's the 4th? How about, is the 18th going to work for everyone?
Yeah. Well, for me.
How about sort of?
It'll work for me.
And since this wouldn't be our normal quarterly meeting, Stephanie can send out something to the group just to confirm. But if another night works better, another time works better, because this is going to be more of a work group type thing to go through these things. It's not going to be like our standard meeting. That's fine too. But Thursday is fine as well. So Stephanie will follow back up with everybody.
I can already say I will not be available that day.
And I will be out of town.
Okay.
So,
I was gonna say, what works good with you guys? I mean, we'll have to work around your guys' schedule. I mean,
well, Mr. Chair, may I recommend we send a what is called a doodle poll, and we could look at a couple of opportunity dates that might work for multiple dates and send that out to the committee and see if we can get a consensus for a majority date.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try to work out a date when as many of us as possible can be there. And Mike Winkler, we want to make sure you're there because we want to put you on the hot seat.
Hey, that's all right. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about our program. I think we are accomplishing some great items as this team under some great leadership, and I look forward to having the conversation.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess maybe we need to have a motion on that, on Mike Jackson's recommendation that we meet at an agreeable date in 2 weeks, that that way we can focus on the CIP further. So yeah, I think that would be a good plan. I'll make that motion.
I second that motion. Edward.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? We'll take a poll. Stephanie, call the roll.
If no one opposed it, I don't think I need to. I think it's unanimous with everybody. So I think we're good. I got everybody. The motion was approved unanimously to meet at an agreeable date in the future, and I'll send that out next week.
Okay.
Okay, and can
Okay.
Stephanie, can you how will you contact Tim? I don't think he has an email address. Will you?
I will call him. Yeah, I will give him a call.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we want to try to get his experience included in this discussion.
Okay, Mike, we need to find somebody to go up there with you. Is that Wes, you going to do that, or is that something we got to do for the city council? Winkler?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that again, Butch?
Do we need to find somebody to go up there with you to do this, or is Wes going to do that?
The responsibility for the presentation is one of the committee members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wes, are you going to handle that?
I can handle it unless you want to volunteer for it.
No, I just want to make sure he's going to be in town to do it because it's on 12th, right? And is it during the day or is it an evening one?
It's the council study session at 6 p.m.
Okay, so it's a nighttime one. Is it in person or online?
I don't believe I've heard yet, but we will confirm that. I believe it's still going to be virtual, but we can confirm that.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. I'll need some help, but I can do it.
Yes. And my plan, oh, go ahead, Mike Jackson.
Sorry, I was just going to add, as Mike said earlier, the intent is very high level, 5-minute max. They have a number of these to go through. So if they do have technical questions, very specific questions, Mike will be around to facilitate and answer those. So you're not expected to know all the ins and outs of and details of every project. It's just that high level stuff that's on those slides.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I won't have a problem with that. So I did it once before previously, and kind of just did the outline, and it, you know, there weren't any questions. So if I get any questions, I'll refer them to Mike.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Okay, I guess we've just about completed the agenda, unless someone has any other discussion they want to bring up. I do have a question. Is there any dates or any discussion going on about the possibility of when in-person committee meetings might happen again? Any idea? Or are they going to continue to be virtual?
I've heard of various dates being tossed around, so can't really confirm anything yet. We're planning to come back to reality or the future reality, I should say, at some point. Just don't have the official dates yet. We were hoping by the time we do our next quarterly, we were thinking that we would probably be back into in person. But having this next one here in a few weeks, in the next couple of weeks, we'll definitely have to do that virtually still.
Yes, I understand. Any other discussion that needs to be heard? Anybody have anything else to add?
One discussion here. I can't remember which mic I talked to. How did we do on our snow plow and ice so far? I know a couple times I was out and they were not clean. I was trying to figure out what happened. Did we drop the ball on something, or did we not?
No, actually, I think we were doing a really good job. When unfortunately, a couple of those snows that we had, the temperatures were so low that none of our pre-treatment was working. So when they were down to negative degrees, the salt wasn't working, any of our brine wasn't working, any of that good stuff, and things were sticking pretty well. But we also had some weird snows that were right at that 1 inch, 1.5 inch. Generally speaking, as Zan had mentioned last presentation, generally speaking, we don't go into the residential neighborhoods if it's going to be 2 inches or less than 2 inches. The reason for that is by the time we get there, most of the snow is already melted because we'll stick on the mains and the secondaries. But with this case, 2 inches of snow when it's -4 degrees, it's not going anywhere. So right. By the time we do get to the residentials, when it's so cold, and we've been doing the two others, the mains and the secondaries, the traffic has had a chance to go in the residentials and pack it down. So it makes it that much harder to get down to bare pavement. And since our salt doesn't work at such a cold temperature, it doesn't really work its way through the snow. So let's say we finish, the snow stops, and 24 hours later, maybe we're finally able to get out to the residentials, but it's been packed down by other vehicles driving through. So it's kind of like when you pull out of your driveway, and then you decide to shovel later on. Those areas that are packed down are almost impossible to get up. So we usually rely on the temperature to warm up, and the sun coming out, even if it's not above freezing, the sun's going to help. But it was just so darn cold for that 4, 5, 6 day stretch without even seeing the sun that made it really difficult. But as far as the operation itself, considering we have split shifts right now we were having split shifts with the COVID things going on, I'd say it was a successful snow season. I don't want to say it's over yet. I mean, knock on wood, because I might jinx us right now, but at least for the foreseeable next 10, 14 days, it doesn't look like we're going to have any precipitation like that. So hopefully we're going to be out of the woods.
Well, Mike, what I want to say, I mean, 'cause I plow snow, I know what happens, but I did see, because I went down to Kansas City, and Kansas City main roads were wet. Where I went back to Independence main roads, they weren't wet. And I don't understand what the difference was. And then why did we not put sand down in residentials when we had some? I know in the past we put sand instead of salt to help with traction. I didn't know, we're not doing that anymore or what?
No, we're not doing the sand.
Okay.
What we planned on having, but for our next quarterly meeting, we were going to kind of have Zan do a brief rundown, not the whole story of what, the whole season, what happened, but here's how much salt we used, here's how many roads we cleared, and he'll have some more insight, specifically for your question about seeing the wet pavement versus coming back over here and not seeing wet pavement. And I'm not an expert in the snow removal, he is. So we will have an end of season type of wrap up that we can share with you all. Okay.
Well, because I mean, that's questions because I see that, and I'm out there and I'm seeing it, because I know 23rd Street, but of course 23rd Street's not ours, but I'm sure we had some hills that are dangerous where a lot of wrecks happen on those people sliding off. They go for signs for some reason. I don't understand why we get so many signs hit by people, but that's what people go for, signs.
I've noticed that this year. I didn't realize that was a thing, but it really is.
Yes, that's the thing. That was my only question.
Okay,
Well, I have Zan answer that next time, I guess.
is that it? Anybody have anything else to bring up?
One other question that I'm thinking about now, I don't know. Nolan Road itself, I noticed between 23rd and 35th, there's a lot of bumps going on through there. And I don't know if we got a problem with when they overlaid it or what. There's especially a big one that's been there probably now for going on 6 months in front of Cable Dahmer and Metro Ford. I can't understand why that hasn't been addressed. Does anybody know about that?
That's the first I've heard of it. Not saying we haven't received something in our street department, but I can look into that. Mike, have you heard anything in regards to that area?
Not particularly for that one. I haven't heard anything. So, but yeah, Mike Jackson, if you could take a look and see if Streets has heard about it, I'll double check if it's on any of the programs that I could see.
You say the biggest spot is right in front of Cable Dahmer?
Yeah, because there's a pretty good hump there, and it hasn't been addressed. Probably, I'd say at least 4 to 6 months, which I'm kind of surprised it hadn't been addressed since of Nolan Road, and I know everybody travels it, so.
We will look into that, and I'll bring it up at our next meeting here in a couple weeks.
Is Zan the one we talked to about the potholes, how everything's going with that, or do you guys deal with any of that, or is that just strictly Zan?
Zan is the superintendent over that group as well, yes.
Okay. I just wondered how it's going, if we have any problems, anything.
It's been going pretty smoothly. I got an email from him 2 days ago, I believe, just kind of a status, and I think we had filled on Monday. I think we had gotten out, filled 162 potholes just on one day. So we were as soon as it started getting warm enough to do it, we're out there hitting them hard. So
okay. I just want to make sure everything's going good out there because people ask it.
Okay, I think that's it. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn. This is Edward.
Second.
I second it.
Okay. Everyone in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. It's unanimous.
thank you all. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thanks.
Okay.